interact through gravity with through space-time with her when she's younger, and program the watch to have like this solution to gravity within it. Like,
I'm beyond confused right now. I can't even lie. I'm like,
Rolex was like, absolutely not.
Right.
We don't want like our watch like associated with this like serial killer movie. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Wrist Enthusiast Radio. This is our first episode back after Watches and Wonders, though you probably have seen some other ones we recorded before in between.
and you know it's crazy. It's like I still feel like we're still there.
Yeah.
It's been like nonstop.
It's been a whirlwind since then. And, you know, now there's Bucher Watch Week and all this other stuff that's happening. I feel the brands are ramping up everything that they're doing. So how are you guys doing?
Doing good. Just trying to survive allergy season in New York.
It's gotten bad the last couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's good. It's busy. It's been good.
So what are we talking about today?
I've noticed that like a lot of the episodes we talked about, we dive pretty deep into watches. So I was challenging, Ben and Craig for today's episode that let's do a topic where we talk about watches in different forms of media. And so not so much just like a watch spotting kind of episode where we say this is what this person's wearing, but more so when this kind of media, whether it's a video game, a movie, a TV show, etc., when this kind of form of media uses a watch as part of the storytelling. Yeah. So I have an example of one of my favorites, which I'll touch upon later. I know both of you guys had texted me about like some topics you guys have. And I think this is going to be a really fun episode, especially if you're someone who loves movies or film or that kind of stuff. But before we get into that, let's talk real quick about what's on our wrist. I'll start with Ben first because he has the newest pickup.
Yeah, so I bought this to keep it short and sweet. I bought this in Switzerland. This is my Furlan Mari Nero Sabia. I don't think so. Derek saw this. I'll show it briefly.
I've seen it in your stories and everything.
It's modeled after old Patek and Vacheron chronographs. Cool. And I was like $700 and I wanted to buy a watch my first time in Switzerland. And I'm like, I saw it and with Derek, I barely saw it, and I went back and I was like, wow, I love this, and I just bought it on the spot. I was like, you guys have this here right now?
Great.
And,
I love it.
It's been my most worn watch since I got back.
Great. It looks great.
That's awesome. I'll go next. I'm wearing my JLC Reverso dual face, and I put it on a Milanese mesh bracelet because at Watches and Wonders, JLC launched a new rose gold tribute Reverso with a Milanese mesh bracelet.
One of my favorites.
A lot of people loved it, and I was like, you know what? I do have a mesh bracelet at home. Why don't I throw it on? So I've been wearing it.
It looks sick.
It looks great.
I do wish JLC would make their own version of this, but I mean, this is pretty good. It looks pretty much the same.
I bet you see it come at some point.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's like talking about it right now. So, and Craig, what's on your wrist?
Well, I did something I'm wearing something that's related to what we're talking about, but I wanted to also bring it in a new light. So I was emailing with Hamilton people, and I was like, I really want the bracelet for the Murph 38. I know the 38 millimeter Murph is not canon to Interstellar, but it fits me better.
It's canon enough.
It's canon enough,
yeah.
But I like
it's
the 30.
Watch,
I mean,
so
Interstellar is my favorite movie, so they were kind enough to send me the bracelet, which I don't think you can buy it on their website right now for some reason. Hopefully they get that sorted out.
Oh, weird. I don't.
But it I've featured this watch a few times, but I think it looks great on the bracelet. They came out with the bracelet after, like a year after the 38 millimeter watch came out.
It came out with the white dial, right? I think.
Yeah, it came out with the white dial, but it's obviously they have it listed separately on the website, and you can wear it, and it changes the watch completely. So Interstellar, my favorite movie, and I think it's one of probably Interstellar, like the prime examples as a watch as kind of like a plot device in a movie. Now, if you know Christopher Nolan, basically all his movies have to do with time, whether it's Tenet, whether it's Inception, and obviously Interstellar, where they play with like kind of,
even
like moving forward in time and backwards in time. Yeah, even Oppenheimer.
Memento. Even earlier.
Memento too. So, Interstellar pairs kind of like two of my favorite things, watches, and like I'm a little bit of a space nerd. So like, my bar mitzvah was space themed. So I've been into both watches, and I got a nice watch for my bar mitzvah. So I've been into both watches and space forever. So it's like basically the perfect movie for me. But for those of you that don't know or want to watch, basically it's, kind of a post-apocalyptic world. It's interesting because while time is very important in the movie, it's unclear like when this movie takes place. It could be modern times, or like it could be like in the distant future.
Oh, we're going straight into Interstellar, right?
Are we not?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
I'm done with my wrist check now.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie.
You've never seen it?
Never seen it.
Oh my God. We're going to have to do a Wrist Enthusiast Radio Interstellar screening.
Yeah,
not too long ago, Interstellar was re-released at IMAX.
Yes, I went.
I recommend if you were able to watch it in IMAX, that's one of the movies you had to see in theaters, to see it on the big screen and but
you have to
immerse yourself.
There's like two types of IMAX, right? There's the regular, the 70 millimeter IMAX, like in Lincoln Center, or there's what they call the IMAX. If you look at just Google IMAX, and we'll put this on the screen and everything, there's a huge difference in like IMAX formats. And one of the screens, like the Lincoln Center one, is about, I think, 5 times or so larger than the one in like any of the other ones in New York City. So you have to see it in that, the real IMAX, the huge IMAX. But yeah, I went and saw it, and I wore this watch when I saw it. I took some content, but then never like did anything with it.
Of course.
Maybe I'll include it in it now. But in the movie, Matthew McConaughey plays Cooper. He is a farmer, but was like a former military pilot who also flew for NASA, and gets kind of recruited to go back and before the world becomes uninhabitable because of blight and everything, find a new planet, because there's a wormhole that they find like out near Saturn or Jupiter that they don't know how it got there. And before leaving, he gives his daughter, who is, like 10 years old or something like that, a watch. And her name is Murph or Murphy. Yeah. And that's where the name, the Murph, comes from. And he gives her a Hamilton Khaki Field Murph that they actually made for the movie, and with no intention of ever selling it, apparently. And he has an like off-the-shelf Hamilton too, and he compares them, and he's talking about like time dilation and all of this stuff. And so she gets really mad because he leaves, and he like seems like he's never coming back. And when she's trying, so you have to go through the whole plot of the movie, right? And spoilers if you don't want to be spoiled.
The movie's like, it's been like a decade. The movie's been
2000. And so, they build these huge space stations, but they can't get them off the Earth to like save the people, to like bring them to like the new planet that they're looking for. They need to solve like the equation of gravity, of like how to like master gravity to be able to pick these huge space stations that they're building on Earth and put them into space. And the way that they need to do that is they need to see inside of a black hole. But you can't, once you go in a black hole, you can't see inside of it. Right. So basically, he like goes into a black hole and manages to relay the message through, like it gets really confusing. Future humans build a tesseract within the black hole that allows him to see every point in his daughter's life with like and interact through gravity with through space-time with her when she's younger, and program the watch to have like this solution to gravity within it. And she goes back and finds the watch.
I think I can help add some context about why when you watch the movie, it's like pretty clear because they tell it so easily to understand. Or if you watch on a second viewing, it helps a lot too. Yeah. But like they talk about, what's it called? Time. What do we have? We're in the fourth dimension.
Fourth dimension,
right?
Space,
So fifth dimension is something beyond what we normally experience. So apparently, the fifth dimension. Oh my God! Now I totally forgot.
Gravity.
I think no. It's I think it is. I think it is gravity. It's the only thing that. Okay, so I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about this on Star Talk, and he was saying like when you ask someone to meet up, you say. You can't just say let's meet up at the cafe. Yeah. Because you need to know the time. Yeah. Because you can just go there. So you need to know that's the first dimension. So 2 dimensions is let's meet at the cafe at 2 p.m. That's already 2 dimensions. The third dimension, is, well, what floor is the cafe on?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's on the ground level. So then there's always that layer. Now I'm starting to forget how
The fourth
I'm
dimension
going.
is time.
So the fourth dimension, I think what I was trying to get to is that, like in the movie Interstellar, these beings have access to time in a way where it's not like for us where it's very linear, like time only goes forward.
Yeah.
But for these higher beings, time is just like a point, like in a building.
Yeah.
It's like it's either the first floor or the fifth floor. And that's how the movie kind of explains it without telling you this directly.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to infer it when he falls into Tesseract and he's going through the bookcase, he's basically accessing different points of time as if he's just like going up and down an elevator, and he's able to access the day he left his daughter. Mm-hmm. And it's a crazy scene.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills talking about it. Like, it's so good.
There's also the point that like they think that the Tesseract and the black hole, or not the black hole, and the wormhole that leads them to other planets was built by like aliens, but it's actually built by future humans that are trying to that do it to save humanity, basically, from itself, so it can evolve to be future humans. There's a lot of like...
I'm beyond confused right now. I can't even lie. I'm like, what's going on?
But like the future humans that built this Tesseract can't find out, like don't know like where in time to like relay the message. So they need Cooper to relay it like through like his daughter, who he has like a strong relationship with. So time is like very important, and like it's obviously displayed through like the watch, and you have to see the movie because there's a lot more that goes on to it. There's, time dilation and all this stuff. But I mean, I think that's the most like prominent example of like a watch as a plot device. Yeah, as a storytelling device, but also like it makes sense for Nolan because all his movies are basically about time.
So let's go back real quick. So I can explain this to Ben. Ben is like the perfect person to explain this to.
Yeah,
Somebody's never watched it.
He's like going home and like gonna watch it right now.
So Craig explained it, and then I'll explain like the other side of it. So basically, long story short, he's able to encode the equation of gravity on the second hand of the watch. So his daughter's watch, it looks like it's like
I've seen the clip
through Morse code.
Yeah,
it's a Morse code. So he actually, in Morse code, it's like swinging back and forth, and that is actually the formula for the equation of gravity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then she one day realizes that it's encoded into the watch. She takes it back to the station, and then she figures out the equation. And then in the movie, they talk about like the other dimension being love, and they were talking about like, what's the way he could pass a message through time to his daughter, and it was through the last gift he gave her. And that's where the watch comes in as like that really awesome thing that just pieces the whole story together and just like saves the day at the end of the day.
Okay, that makes because I know the clip of it. Me being like, what is?
So apparently for the movie, like Craig was saying, that watch is actually, they had one that was like hooked up to a device where someone off screen had like a little dial, and they can turn it up and down like a volume.
Yes.
And it would turn the seconds hand. So that's how they created that effect. That there was someone off screen able to do this back and forth. So it's practical.
But I love, one of the things that I love about this watch is that when you look at it, it's like very like kind of vintage looking, or it looks like it could be made at any time. And that's kind of like, time is obviously a huge plot device, but at the same time, the movies like could be taking place at like any time. None of like the spaceships or anything look like super futuristic or anything. So it's kind of like time is just like permeates through the whole entire movie, but in like different ways.
So a really cool thing about Hamilton, so I went on this trip with them, and the CEO, his name's Vivian, I forget his last name, but he was talking about the watch, and I was asking him about like, how do you get the Hamilton in a movie? I feel like they're in every movie now. Like Men in Black, and there's a couple others, and apparently like that's like the #1 contact in Hollywood.
Oh,
like Hollywood's doing a movie, the first people they call are Hamilton because they're like the movie brand, and there's some massive connection, which
but
is
they're not
crazy.
paid for it,
and they
don't pay for it. I mean,
they don't pay for it, and even this watch they had to put it together in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and apparently, like Nolan was like, I like this from this watch and this from that watch,
And they put Franken.
and they never expected it to like be so popular,
commercial
and it
piece,
took like
yeah.
a little while for them to release the first version afterwards, and now they said I think it's their top selling watch, which is kind of crazy, and they still, and not 9 years later, they came out with the 38 millimeter because people were at the original's 42. People were asking for it.
It's a big watch, 42.
I understand wanting a bigger watch in like a movie. So it.
I used to always joke like, why did it take them so long to come out with that Interstellar watch when the movie came out so long? But then like just the way we're talking about it and how many people love the movie, I definitely think that helped play a role into why the watch is so successful. Because when you look at the watch, you think of the story, and then also it's just designed really well.
It's just a really like classic looking watch. So they did a good job with it. Or Christopher Nolan designing a watch. He has a second career of being like a watch designer. Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's move on to.
All right. I'll tell the next story.
Mine's the worst, so I will go last.
No. I'm sure we'll have more too as we go along, but right now there's you guys know, I'm going to talk about The Last of Us. So this is a video game made by Naughty Dog, came out on the PlayStation. I played both the part 1 and part 2. Right now on HBO Max, they're airing season part 2. So I'm not going to spoil too much into there because that's current right now. But season 1 came out in 2023, and the game is at least over a decade old. Yeah. So in this, are you guys familiar with it by any chance?
Yeah, I've watched the first season and the first episode of the second season, and I started playing the game a few years ago, and then got stuck on one part and never continued.
I just bought a Steam Deck, and The Last of Us is actually one of my first games I'm going to play.
Okay, but did you watch the show too?
I've watched the first season, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you guys are up to date then. Yeah. So this will be pretty easy then. But yeah, in the show, it's a... if someone hasn't seen it, it's I guess it's like a zombie apocalypse, except instead of zombies, it's this cordyceps fungus. Yeah. So it feels really realistic because instead of like
it's scary.
It's scary. Yeah.
It's like a fungus that evolves.
Bugs and stuff can get these funguses in them and then get controlled.
Yeah.
This was like if this happened to like humans.
Yeah. Ants can actually get the cordyceps virus. So. In this show, your protagonist, his name is Joel. In the TV show, he's played by Pedro Pascal. And then on the video game, he's voiced by Troy Baker, who's like a really well-known voice actor and done a lot of cool work. He was actually in the season 1 as an extra character.
Yeah.
And he gets killed.
Cool. A lot of them were extras. Like the one that plays Ellie.
Ellie,
she was in it too. They like let them like all have like small parts.
Yeah,
in, like, the first
I always
season,
think Ellie is played by Ellen Page, but that's not.
Anyway,
but anyways, so in the like throughout the first game for season 1 of the show, you're introduced to Joel and his daughter Sarah in the first episode, and basically it's just them two. It's the first day of the outbreak infection, and she gives Joel a gift, and it's not a gift that she went and bought, but she re-gifted Joel's watch to him, and she basically got it fixed. Now, in the game, they don't really show you like the behind the scenes of everything. They just show you from her perspective. But in the TV show, they show you scenes of Sarah, his daughter, going to the watch store, getting the battery replaced. I thought a cool Easter egg was that when she goes to the watch store to get it replaced, they hold up the watch and the case back is off, and you can see it's a quartz movement because the dial is like huge. It's probably like a 42, and then the movement is like a nickel. It's so tight. I remember seeing that, and then it made it more realistic for me because the guy was like, "Oh, it'll only be $20." So he's basically just changing the battery, pops it back in, and it's realistic because a girl of her age, like she's probably like 14 years old, could actually pay for this kind of service. She brings it back to her dad. Re-gifts it to him because he never buys himself anything nice. He puts it on. There's some fun banter. I'll skip a little ahead. Outbreak happens. They're fleeing town. They are trying to meet up with Joel's brother Tommy, and they just narrowly escape. And they finally get to like this field, and there's like this militia or military officer, and he's able to like shoot the infected behind them. So they feel like they're safe now. But then you can see like something's happening. The military officer is like answering something on his radio, and I guess he's being ordered to just like kill whoever or unalive, so we don't get called censored. And so he shoots at Joel and Sarah. Joel turns to protect his daughter, and unfortunately, through that kind of Russell, she's fatally wounded. And then obviously Tommy, his brother, came out and was able to take care of the militia guy. So what's the importance of the watch here? So Sarah gave him the watch during the night of the outbreak. He's protecting Sarah. It's the last gift she gave him. And then his watch is broken at that exact moment when the militia shoots him. And then they time jump to like 20 years later or whatever. And throughout the whole series, season 1, he never gets the watch fixed. And so the kind of symbolism here is that like his watch is frozen in time at that moment of when he lost his daughter. And then when he meets Ellie, who becomes the main character, this young girl, it's like she becomes his daughter through this journey of where they're trying to get the cure for the cordyceps virus. And
because she is somehow immune from it.
She's somehow immune to the virus. And one of the first meetings, Ellie even makes a joke like, "Your watch is broken, by the way." And Joel says nothing. And I feel like that's such a beautiful storytelling because as the audience or the gamer, what the story is with the watch, but Ellie hasn't yet discovered it.
And every time he looks at the watch, he like,
I don't think he uses it because it's like it has like two.
No, I mean, but like if
he
he ever looks at the watch, it's like reminded him of like his daughter and that moment.
And so I feel like his relationship with Ellie throughout this show kind of helped him heal from that trauma with what happened to his daughter Sarah, and then that's why it leads him to his decision to save her at the end of season 1 because that's his second chance of having a daughter again.
Do you think he gets the watch fixed at some point? Is that like going to be the...
So in part 2, I'm not going to spoil too much, but like
or not.
In part 2, no, he doesn't get the watch fixed. But Ellie finds it later on. Yeah, and Ellie finds his watch, and I don't remember if she keeps it or not, but she finds his watch, and there's like a moment in the game where it's like, oh,
she's played by Bella Ramsey, right?
Yeah, yes. Bella Ramsey, exactly.
Who's great in Game of Thrones too.
And Pedro Pascal was also in Game of Thrones.
Saw her in the West Village.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Months ago. I didn't obviously meet her, but she was just in the same restaurants.
Oh, that's cool. But that's the story of Last of Us. I'm trying to think if there's anything
very
else I mentioned.
Everything like so far very like love related.
Yeah. Oh, let me describe the watch to you.
And like a father-daughter, both Interstellar and Last of Us are like father-daughter love.
That's true.
So they're like kind of very similar plot devices, and they both kind of came out around the same time.
I think like Last of Us was like 2013 or so.
Yeah, Interstellar is 2014, so they're like not like
who copied who.
Copying each other. So that's really interesting that the first two kind of have similar themes and feelings between the two.
Yeah. So the watch, there's no brand on the watch, and I think that's fine because it's not the point
in the show either. I don't remember.
Neither. Yeah, but it basically looks like a military watch. There's numerals, there's small seconds, and it's on a green NATO strap. And I've seen some people like cosplay and they'll reorder the same watch but broken.
Yeah.
But I feel like the importance of the name of the watch is not really the main point. It's like what the watch represents to Joel and then to the story of The Last of Us.
I mean, this wouldn't necessarily, like Interstellar wouldn't need to be a Hamilton necessarily. We all like Hamilton, but it could be kind of anything. So Ben?
So my story is just not as good as yours. Like it's just like we did a lot of research because we were all talking. And like I have watches that are like so iconic. One of them is everybody thinks it's one watch, but it's actually the other. And then one of them. So I'll go through two because it won't take that long.
Okay.
So
take your time. Yeah.
One of my favorite movies, the movie that actually got me into movies, was American Psycho.
Yes, such a good movie. Have you seen it?
I actually haven't seen the full movie, but I've watched like parts. Yeah.
Just the very basic plot of it is it's Christian Bale, and he basically plays a psycho, but he's like a business executive, and he's a psychopath and kills people.
Yeah, serial killer.
Yeah. So that's like the basic plot of it.
Well, spoiler alert, may or may not be.
Yeah, may or may not.
May just be crazy.
You don't know, it may be crazy. But anyway, in the movie, he's playing this like business executive, and he's playing like the psycho business executive Patrick Bateman that you would think as somebody, and he's wearing this two-tone Jubilee watch. And when I'm watching the movie and you see online, everybody, like you see like those Instagram posts where it's like the picture of him and then it's like he's wearing a Rolex Datejust. He's
two-tone,
not.
Yeah.
He's actually wearing a two-tone Seiko. Now, I don't know the reason why. You might know. I don't know why they...
This is what I heard.
Yeah.
Okay. I heard that they went to Rolex and like asked them to, and Rolex was like, absolutely not.
Right.
We don't want like our watch like associated with this like serial killer movie.
So you think they asked Seiko, and Seiko's like, hell yeah, let's
Well,
go.
I think they probably just like maybe bought
Threw
a Seiko.
on the Seiko.
I think they threw on the
Seiko, but Rolex was like, maybe they asked for one, and
Right.
Rolex was like, absolutely, we're not giving you one, and also don't use it, and we don't want you to use it in the movie.
Especially back then too. Seiko was making. I mean, they kind of still do that, but even back then, they were making watches that looked very similar to Rolexes.
Yeah.
Like my whole tangent, but not really. My step grandmother just gave me a bunch of watches from her other marriages where they have died, and now she's married to my grandpa. Too much information. But anyway, so it's a bunch of boxes full of women's watches, and one of them looks like what would be a two-tone date.
Yeah.
And it's a women's watch, and I gave it to my girlfriend. She's like, I love this. I'm like, yeah, 'cause it looks like a Rolex. But that's the kind of same thing. Another one, actually very similar, probably a similar thing that happened.
Wait.
Yeah.
Before we,
Yeah.
did you say why you think he's wearing the Seiko? Like,
Well,
let's try to tie it into the movie.
I think if you watch the movie, there's like a scene where they're all exchanging business cards,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
It's very like materialism, and they're like, he's like getting all in his head about like he has the nicest business card when they're all exchanging it, and he's like narrating it, right? Like,
what color is this? It's bone.
yeah, and yeah. It's and he like someone has what he ends up thinking is like an even better business card than him, and
Paul
it's like
Allen.
is it Paul Allen? Yeah. And it gets very competitive, and then they talk about going Dorsia, like the nicest restaurant.
yeah.
Nicest restaurant. Remember, there's that app now that like helps you get reservations at hard to get reservations by like
Yeah.
spending a
It's also
minimum.
called
It's called
Dorsia,
Dorsia
yeah,
because
yeah.
after
Well,
that.
I think it ties in too, especially because it's like he's cosplaying as
Yeah.
his business executive, but he's a psycho, and he's kind
Yeah.
of like cosplaying as this business guy, but he's just wearing a Seiko.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
So
not
it's
that
either
rhymes.
it's like it's building into this whole like identity of like being competitive, and also like you don't know, getting kind of deeper into like the meta of the movie, you don't know what's real and what's not. Like
Yeah.
he may not have murdered anyone at the end of the day. He may just be like imagined it all
And gone crazy, yeah.
crazy. That's like you're left very ambiguous. They made a sequel to it where he was a serial killer, which a lot of people like. I think it was with Mille Kunis or something. It was like kind of
didn't
like
even see it.
Yeah, it was like a sequel, but like I don't like not with the original people on it, and like people like hate the sequel because
It taints the movie.
taints the original movie if it's
The
like
whole point
considered
of it is-
canon.
right.
The whole point is like to be ambiguous, like Fight Club and all of these other movies, and
love. Good movie.
so well, I guess Fight Club's not ambiguous.
And another, it was the reason why I was saying that. Like, that's the way it ties in. And then the similar movie, similar concept is actually, I wasn't even going to mention this, but The Wolf of Wall Street,
Yes.
where he basically looks like he's wearing a gold Rolex, but he's actually probably similar. Rolex probably said no, and he's wearing a Heuer,
A gold-plated Tag Heuer.
gold-plated Tag Heuer.
yeah.
But that also kind of fits in because he's playing this business guy, but he's really just scamming people.
Yeah, it's all like a house of cards, and
right,
like
and that's kind of his watch.
Yeah.
Gold-plated.
There's that scene where Leonardo DiCaprio is holding. He's like, "You see this watch?"
Yeah.
Like, and then he throws it.
it's
into
like
the
it's
crowd.
$20,000 or something, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's like
Yeah.
maybe $1,000 or
Maybe, yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, fun fact: Leonardo DiCaprio is officially an
Now
Rolex
he's-
ambassador.
If you go back in time, you get
Right?
Rolex
Now you
into-
get-
Yeah.
Here's
Well, the
what-
other crazy thing about him being a Rolex ambassador is he's invested in that company. Well, sorry for getting too much tangent, but a company called ID Genève.
Oh,
He's
Oh,
an investor.
yeah,
He
yeah.
invested like millions of dollars.
I
into
wonder
it.
if he had to
Interesting.
divest from it.
I asked
maybe.
them. They said they were fine with it.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Apparently,
Okay, so I guess I'll go to another one, which is a recent
it going.
TV show.
Yeah.
And I really suggest it on Apple TV. Your Friends and Neighbors.
Okay.
Have you
I've
seen
heard.
it?
Everybody
so
texts me because
it's with John Hamm. So basically, and it's very Wolf of Wall Street esque, I guess, in
Was he
some
in
ways.
Suits? John Hamm.
No, Mad Men.
Oh,
Mad
Mad
Men.
Men. That's what I'm thinking.
So John Hamm plays this, Wall Street banker or like private equity guy, who making a lot of money, and then has, ends up getting divorced and has a consensual relationship with a younger girl in a separate department at his firm, and basically he's like makes millions of dollars. He's very rich, huge house, but the like founder of like the the investment firm uses it as a way to basically fire him and take all its clients, and then tie up all his investments he had within. He like won't give it to him. Right. And so he has to like fund like his kids and pay like child support and alimony and all of this stuff, and he turns to he gets very disillusioned by this whole life and all his friends and these like gated communities and golf clubs, and he starts basically breaking into their houses and robbing them. And the first couple episodes are him basically just stealing watches from them. So first he steals, so it's funny. First he steals Patek Philippe Nautilus 5811, and he's like, this is worth $200,000 on like the secondary market. And I'm like, that's not worth $200,000. That's not $200,000 on the secondary market. But when you think about it, when they probably wrote the script, and
probably
was probably 2022, and then it goes into production, and it probably was. I'm like, that's actually probably like 110, right? Maybe. So I was like, this is unrealistic. But they go in, they show you the watch. The watch comes on the screen. It's like spinning around. They do like a 3D render of it.
Wow.
And then the second watch he steals is an RM, Philippe Massa.
Yeah, Felipe Massa. Yeah.
Felipe, I don't know I forget the exact reference, and it's like, this is like $300,000. Yeah. And these are the things that he's like stealing from his kind of friends and neighbors, you know? So it's like the biggest, like it's really just like really a plot device. I don't know if there's necessarily like deeper meaning. I think it probably has a lot to do with like material things and like getting disillusioned by these material things, and you know, kind of that interplay. But I thought that was like a really interesting. I was watching because it just looked like an interesting show, and then like the first 2 episodes just.
I've had so many people text me be like, "You would love this show. You should watch it because of that."
It's a great show otherwise, but
I need to get Apple TV because I need to watch Severance too. Yeah,
and Ted Lasso.
I watched Ted Lasso. I had a free trial of Apple TV, and that's where I watched all of Ted Lasso, which is a great show.
Yeah, it's good.
So it's a great show. There's only been a few episodes, 2 or 3 episodes so far, but but it's and watches feature prominently.
Cool. Well, I'll definitely check it out. I have another film.
Okay.
This one you guys probably seen. This one I'm going to go back to Doctor Strange in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Benedict Cumberbatch plays Stephen Strange, aka Doctor Strange, later on. And the watch he has in that movie is the JLC Master Ultra Thin Perpetual Calendar in rose gold, I believe, or in I can't remember. But this is the film where he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. And well, there's earlier in the movie, there's a funny scene where he pulls open a drawer and then he has all those watches on watch winders before he gets into his accident. I've actually done like short videos about this, about like, do you need a watch winder? But then I realized that when he pulls open the drawer and all his watches are rotating, they're actually rotating horizontally. So it wouldn't really wind your watch at all. It would have to be facing upwards. But I think that also says something about his character. It's like, he's not really wearing it or using it for the right function. At this time in the movie, he's like, you know, he's just like a really successful doctor and he's just wearing them because they look nice. But later on, he learns to master time with the time stone and everything. So I feel like that's actually, I don't think the directors maybe thought of it that way. They just thought it would be cool to have him open the drawer. But I'm reading into it that that's part of the storyline, that he didn't know about winding his watch properly. Later on, you know, his hands get injured in the car accident. He learns how to become a sorcerer. I'm skipping through the movie. He gets the time stone, and well, also his watch, the JLC watch, was damaged. So throughout the whole movie, it's damaged. And at this time, Benedict Cumberbatch was also a ambassador for JLC. So I think that's why they tied it in. On top of that, I think it makes maybe it's like a prop for the movie because it's the JLC. But I'm also curious why they chose the Master Ultra Thin Perpetual Calendar and not like a Reverso, for example, a Reverso with the Perpetual Calendar or something like that. Or
like a duo face or something like that, where you have multiple time zones, and you know, that could have been interesting. But
I guess they just want to show like their high complication for such a big film, and for the MCU, that's what people consider to be part of the good movies of the MCU, and then that would become you know, that's a cool kind of like tie-in. And then, you know, throughout the movie, he learns how to master time, and that's how he defeats the Dormammu, the entity.
I also love that watch.
The watch is
the one. I don't remember the one he wore in the movie, but the rose gold one was actually one of my original grails. Like seriously, it's so good.
And interestingly, and it's not really as much of a plot device, Robert Downey Jr. wore Urwerk as Iron Man,
He's
Tony Stark. I think it's. I mean, I think it's more of like it fits
Costuming
his
kind of thing.
It fits his character. It's crazy, kind of futuristic. But apparently, he liked them so much that he like bought these watches. So that was, I thought, very interesting, and kind of as a little aside. I have another one that I think we should talk about James Bond, especially in the earlier days. And when Derek kind of gave us this assignment to look more into this, he was like, not watches that just appear in movies. We're not just watch spotting, which everyone does. Watches that actually have meaning. And so I said James Bond, and he was like, no, that's just like like an Omega in it. And I was like, I remember years ago reading about a watch in James Bond that he used to like the bezel was modified to like get out of like being tied up. So in Live and Let Die, one of Roger Moore's movies as James Bond, he's wearing a Submariner 5513, and Q apparently modifies the bezel to, it's called to have like razor blades, and he uses it. Him and Solitaire are like tied up. He uses it to get untied up, like to and then it also has I don't think it actually has this it also has a magnetic field generator, which he uses to stop a bullet.
Crazy.
So that's interesting. Like you think of James Bond and like it's just like kind of product placement right now, but like it was, a very useful tool as, like in the early Bond movies, where now, it's not necessarily a watch that's going to be the thing that saves him. He's going to have like weird gadgets. And I guess the gadgets were kind of big under Pierce Brosnan, less so now.
Like James Bond is a good example still, just because like they have started to tie in the watch as part of his like gadgets from Q.
Yeah.
So like in the most recent, what's it called? No Time to Die.
Yeah.
I almost said Die Another Day, which is a different genre.
Live and Let Die.
They're all.
But like in No Time to Die, the Diver 300M that Daniel Craig helped design, it has like an EMP. So he's able to use it to like disable some guy who has like, I forgot, he has like a smart chip in his brain, and he is able to use it. And then he makes like a really corny ass line. He's like, he really liked my watch. And then that's the part where it's like, that's product placement.
And then they show close up on the watch.
No, he said he really liked my watch. It blew his mind. That was the line. And I was like, oh my God, face palm.
Yeah, face palm. Well, that's like I've seen the clip of him on the train, and there's some woman who he's with. I don't know if it's that movie, another movie, and they're like, oh,
Casino
is that
Royale.
a Rolex? And he goes, no, Omega. You're like, oh my God.
Omega.
I will say though, that No Time to Die is I think my favorite Seamaster 300.
Yeah.
Is that the one with like the
titanium,
vintage,
the titanium
like
with the gray,
the
broad arrow,
like patina loom.
The patina loom.
Yeah.
That one I really like too.
Yeah.
But you have like I think we should talk about it just because it been in the new or been kind of mentioned a lot recently, like in White Lotus. I don't think they're like really plot devices. I think they're like extensions of the characters.
Yeah, more like costuming.
Yeah, and this happened. This was in succession. Happened in succession.
Don't spoil season 3. I'm 2 episodes left.
No, I'm not.
Okay. The watches don't play a role in the movie, in the show.
White Lotus or Succession?
White Lotus.
So Shrita, is that her name?
Shritala
is wearing a Jacob & Co. Fleur de Jardin.
Yes.
Which like obviously is like very expensive and ostentatious. Then you have Saxon, the son, who's wearing like
Patrick Schwarzenegger.
Patrick Schwarzenegger, who's wearing like a Hublot. Yes.
Yeah. No idea.
Yeah.
Just found that right now.
who's wearing a Hublot at some points. He wears a few different watches, and that kind of like
the Rolex Milgauss as well.
Oh yeah. And then you have like
crystal.
Parker Posey, who's wearing like a gold date, I think.
Saxon. Oh no.
Harper.
Piper. No.
Oh, Piper. Yeah.
But
Buddhism.
I feel like they did similar things, like using it as like extensions of the.
Even the younger son's wearing a moon swatch.
Yeah, which it's like kind of fits
sense.
more.
What was the dad wearing?
He's wearing another Rolex.
A date. Because.
Oh yeah,
Parker Posey is also wearing a matching. Rolex with him.
That makes sense. And Walter Goggins is wearing a
Timex.
Timex.
Yeah.
But he changes and wears something more expensive, I think.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
And then another show or movie I want to bring up is Apocalypse Now,
Okay.
where Marlon Brando is wearing a GMT Master. But there's stories about how this is, I guess, an instance of not wanting the watch to like have like a central role. He took off the bezel of the watch so it wouldn't be like as recognizable and more like what like his character would wear.
Oh,
so it's kind of like making the watch less
Didn't that go to
prominent.
auction recently?
Yes,
Yeah,
I don't know how
yeah.
much it sold for. Probably
It's
something
like a certain
crazy.
amount of money.
But so I didn't watch Apocalypse Now. You watched it?
A long time ago.
I don't.
But apparently, the other really famous watch, or at least according to Seiko, is the Captain Willard, because that's like the Seiko diver watch that I guess the character Captain Willard wears, and it has like the crown at 4 o'clock, and it has like that kind of strange cushiony shape. So that's like another watch that's also featured in that movie. But I didn't watch the movie, so I wouldn't know how to talk about that one.
have you guys seen Righteous Gemstones?
Yes.
Very similar to White Lotus.
Okay.
Lots of watches in there that tied to characters. I mean, the only other watch I want to bring up, because I just think it's so cool in the movie, I don't think it has any plot twist, but it's cool, is the Casio calculator in Back to the Future.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's a
Fits
classic.
so
Yeah.
80s. It's like just cool seeing like a Casio being a prominent feature. And like
Yeah.
when I think about that watch, I think about that movie.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I think about.
Is there a few more we can throw in? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, I used to do like a lot of like watch spotting in
Yeah.
television shows and movies. Like I've done like, you have Tony Soprano wearing.
Oh, that's a
dated,
that's
Yeah.
a huge one.
I mean that's like a lot of them like are just what their character would wear, and I feel like that's what most people just talk about. It's like, oh, this guy's wearing this. This guy's wearing this. No one talks about it like as the plot device.
Thought of another one. So we were all at Watches of Wonders. This will be a big plot line. I don't know if it's a big plot line, but like the IWC in the new Formula One movie that's going to come out will, I think, be not a plot line, but it's the sponsor.
They're
for
the
team.
sponsor of the of the team. So they sponsor Mercedes-Benz in real life.
Mercedes AMG,
And- or Mercedes AMG. And then what's the name of the team
In the movie, it's APX GP.
Yeah.
Something like
In the
that,
F1
yeah.
movie. So apparently in that movie, I guess this is a cool Easter egg, but Brad Pitt has an IWC Ingenieur. It's a vintage one, but it has a green dial.
yeah.
But it's not an original IWC watch. I think he went,
I saw the watch.
was it? You saw the actual
I
one?
saw it in person. Yeah.
At Watches and Wonders?
Yeah, Nico, I don't know if you know him, works for IWC. He was just walking
Yeah,
by
yeah.
me, and he was like, dude, look at this. And he opened up, I go,
Whoa.
can I take a picture? He goes, no. I'm like,
Whoa.
okay.
It's still attached to Brad Pitt's
But they
wrist.
released like
a
modern
modern
version
version
of
with
it.
but it's not. Yeah, it's a different kind of feeling though. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like because I know Brad Pitt also wears like the 222 and like
Yeah.
he likes those integrated bracelet kind of watches. It's kind of cool when you look. A lot of times when we look at like celebrity watch spotting, it's like okay because a lot of them are just put on them by their stylist.
Yeah.
So there's no like personality behind a
Yeah.
lot of them. That's why I kind of like tune out and I don't really care what they're wearing. But like.
But when they're picking it, when they're like out and about,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
I guess here's one in media. This one is gonna be big, but like remember a few years ago, Taylor Swift was wearing the choker with the neck of the watch on her neck.
And didn't
it was
Rihanna wear something too? Like
I think the year after, but it was like positioned at midnight because Taylor
Yeah.
Swift was gonna come out with a new album, so that was like her Easter egg of showing. And I forgot what the watch that was on her neck was. I think it was like Lorraine Shorts or something.
yeah,
like
or
that.
at least I think that was the necklace. And
necklace
I think the
itself.
watch was like maybe a Cartier or something.
No,
or,
I think it was like Ebel or something.
or maybe
It was some
Something
brand
really-
that like you were like, really?
You're like
Frederic
they're still
Martin.
She
around.
couldn't get a sponsorship.
They're like
Yeah.
they're still around.
Like if she had Cartier on there, like they would make so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's the biggest celebrity in the world right now. That's my take.
Really?
Taylor Swift.
But Rihanna's worth way more money.
Right, but
Because
she had
of Fenty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fenty,
that was thank you acquired podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that's
That's pretty good.
I think that's pretty good. Let us
Yeah.
know if we missed anything, and maybe we'll do a part
part
two.
two.
Well, share. How about you guys share which are some of your favorite examples of watches in media? It could be anything from books, movies, film, all that kind of stuff. We only named our favorites and the ones that came to mind, but I'm sure there's way more that we could actually dive into.
And try and make it more than just watch spotting. This person wears it. Tell us why you think it's important to the storyline or an important part of whatever, film or TV
Agreed.
show or whatever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks, guys.